What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. And joining me, as always, is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And joining us, making his Renegade Pop Culture debut, please welcome my good friend, Manning.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Mike. Cameron, I'm so appreciative that I get to, talk about Demon Slayer, because there's not a lot of people that I know in my side of the coast that want to talk about it, in person at least.
Hell yeah. So we're talking about everything, both the first season of Demon Slayer and the new movie Mugen Train, or Infinity Train, as some people are referring to it.
Wasn't that the original title? I swear.
I think it might have been.
I'm not entirely sure.
I've heard Infinity Train, but then I never heard it ever again after ooh, Infinity Train's coming. Ooh, look out for this. But then it just became Mugen Train.
I bet they retitle it to Mugen Train to avoid confusion with the Western series of the same name.
Finish the show, you cowards.
Yes, finish Infinity Train.
But we're not here to talk about Infinity Train. Let's get back on track.
All right, so Manning, since I assume that you were kind of a big fan of this show, why don't you, for those who haven't seen it, kind of explain the core premise?
Yes. Well, for those unaware, the Demon Slayer is a very the title is very self-explanatory at what the overarching job is of our main hero. Our hero Tanjiro basically goes. I can get into slight spoilers, or do you want to keep it spoiler free?
We're talking about the whole show, so
yeah, we're talking about everything. So
because something happens episode 1, it's kind of big. But no, with light spoilers ahead. But I want to get you guys, because the first episode is still, to me, an incredibly engaging piece of art, dare I say, from a technical standpoint and a storytelling standpoint. But our main character of Tanjiro is just a young boy living in this kind of, I'm not sure the exact year, but it's very almost feudal Japan mixed with almost steampunk aspects, kind of modern. The time period isn't exactly set, but it's a fantasy world, we'll say. And then one day he comes home from the market and his family has been murdered by demons. The only person who is alive is his young sister, Nezuko, and she has been turned into a demon because she was bitten but not devoured by one. And through this process, it is basically him trying to not only avenge the death of his family, but also being called to a higher purpose, in which we get into the themes of Demon Slayer. We'll get into the themes a little later, because I think they're one of the strongest aspects of the actual show. But it's basically a journey between a brother and a sister who are now super close, but at the same time at odds, because this is a young man who is now a demon slayer and a girl who has been turned into a demon. And it's their story about trying to live in this world where they are at odds, but at the same time they are a family, and finding that dynamic and how they deal with that was what makes this show really engaging. And the adventures they have along the way by destroying a demon king, as we call Michael Jackson.
All right.
Not really. That is not Michael Jackson. He looks like it. You guys have to admit.
Yeah, his first appearance definitely gives off those vibes.
Yeah, our villain in question is Muzan Kibutsuji. Sorry, voiced in the English dub by Greg Chun. And he basically walks around kind of in a I don't know how anybody could see him and be like, oh yeah, this guy is not suspicious at all. But
not at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. And he has the ability to give and turn people, he's able to turn people into demons, and he's also able to give already pre-existing demons powers. And by the way, if Greg Chun sounds familiar, he's Ryoji in the Netflix dub of Evangelion. So fun fact there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so, and also, by the way, the setting is in Taisho era Japan.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
I have no idea. I'm over here being like, I have no idea what era this is.
I mean, they take a few fantastical elements to it, of course, but literal demons and whatnot.
What gave that?
Not metaphorical like the evil of man. These are literal horned individuals that will kill you and eat you.
What if actually at the very end of this is just Tanjiro, basically he hit his head on the market square on his way back, and he's like, wow, I had the weirdest metaphorical dream.
That'd be a slap to the face. No.
It would. It'd be the worst.
All right. So by the way, this is also based off of the manga by let me get the person's name up.
I got it.
Koroharu Gotuje. And the show was produced and written by Ufotable, a Japanese studio that's known for like the Fate Zero franchise, and they worked on stuff like Tales of Symphonia and all that stuff. So you've probably seen their work before. And they worked on a few like Fate franchise things, and anyway. So, Mike, what would you say because this is a shonen battle anime, so very focused on male leads, a lot of action, and what would you say to people who are kind of like, because there seems to be this like repellent nature to when you say shonen anime, because people are like, ugh. And I mean, granted, it doesn't help when so many of the series are long running, like Naruto, One Piece, and all that jazz. If you had to like elevator pitch someone why this show is different, where would you start?
Ooh, this is actually tough. I know two shows that may not seem related, but that I kind of connected to were Yu Yu Hakusho and Gurren Lagann. The second one's a bit of a reach, but both of them have like similar main protagonists whose like arc basically involves like gaining this like the self-confidence and the strength to to do what they got to do to save the day and all of that. But with Yu Yu Hakusho, it's the fantastical elements. It's like fighting demons and going through all of that training and stuff.
Manning, what would you say? What's the first thing that makes this show stand out to you? Like from a lot of other shonen-ish anime.
Disclaimer, as I said to my my esteemed host over here before, I am not the biggest, and not necessarily a fan, but the biggest consumer of anime. I do enjoy anime. I have read a couple manga here and there, but it's been mostly anime. So I haven't seen One Piece, nor have I seen Naruto. I haven't seen majority of these, mainly because the shonen genre, when I hear it, I'm one of those people who's like, oh, I know those tropes. I don't want to see those again. And for some reason, I just heard so many good things. And around this was 2002, like 2019. Wait, 2019? Yeah. Years are blurring together at this point. 2019, when that first came out, and it captured the cultural zeitgeist for a little bit on its initial run. And I think this was right when episode 19, it just kind of blew up on the internet. Episode 19 happened and it blew up, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to check it out. I got a Crunchyroll subscription. I'm going to try it before it turned on to Netflix. It was on Crunchyroll. Is it still on Crunchyroll? I don't know.
No, it should be.
Okay.
And
yeah.
It's also on Funimation. That's how I watched it.
Okay. So there's lots of different places to watch it. Crunchyroll, Netflix, and Funimation. But I watched Demon Slayer thinking like, okay, this is going to be I'm going to give it a couple episodes and see what it's like. What I think this show does by standing out, I think while it may not, I don't think it redefines what people have come to know about this genre, at least what I know about it and the pop culture reference. What this does really well is that this grounds it in a way to where they make it accessible. This doesn't feel like a youth, a boy, or like, because I know that shonen is like, it's between like, young teens to old, like 18-year-old type of where it's, marketed toward. This in particular feels like it has a broad reach, because the themes, as I mentioned prior, the themes in this deal with things that are for almost budding adolescents, those who are coming into themselves, and they deal with darker themes of loss, death, family, loyalty, but also kindness, and also gentleness and just forgiveness. These themes, I think, play into a much larger concept of why this show, I feel, while it doesn't lose its lightheartedness, deals with these heavy themes in a very respectful way while not dumbing it down for a young audience. This balances between adults and kids in a way that's very violent and gory, but also very silly and kind of out there. And while again, I have not seen many shonen anime, what I have seen in this one is like, I want this replicated. And again, if y'all have any suggestions, please let me know. But what this does is exactly what I'm looking for in, like, you know, fun, exciting, but also tender and meaningful in some sort of very unique way.
Yeah, no, I think, like, yes, if you took the show on like base value alone, it doesn't do anything wildly different.
No.
It's a bunch of young boys going on demon slaying adventures. The female characters aren't the most interesting. Well, at least at first they're not. Like Nezuko, unfortunately, has to be inside a box for most of the runtime of the storyline. But she's given a lot of moments to shine, and we'll talk about that a little later. And it's very action oriented. There are power levels, there are other people that the young leads will learn from, and all that stuff. I think one of my favorite aspects about this show is not only like the drama and the intrigue of the main characters. I think this is one of the few shonen anime that I can think of that gives as much time to our main characters as like to the villains. And like there's a darkness to the villains because of course they're demons. They're quote unquote evil, and some of them are definitely way more evil than others, like the hand demon that they encounter early on, the big monster thing. But then it's like there's a nuance to them because they start crying when they're slayed. It's like they instantly realize where they are and whatnot, and they give like fairly detailed backstories to some of these demons, like Kyogai, who's voiced by the ever amazing Steve Blum.
He was one of my favorites.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. And for those who might need a reminder, Kyogai was the one that they encountered in the house that kept shifting the rooms around with the drums on his body.
And quickly aside, great set pieces for a lot of the action sequences, movie included.
Oh yeah, well I'll get to the visuals in a second.
Yes.
And they make you feel for some of these demons. Some of them are, like I said, way more evil than others. But then they expand upon them as they are slayed, and you then kind of understand their perspective, what drives them as a demon per se and whatnot. Like we'll get into Rui of the spider demon family. And some of them are just like, they're just demons, they're just monsters, they want to eat people, that's all, and that's fine. But I think the more interesting ones are the ones that have backstories to them. And they also show that like not all demons are evil. Like literally with Tameo and Yushiro, who are obviously demons, but they help people. So there's this nuance to the nature of demons. Because I'm sure if Muzan wanted to, he could just not do anything evil, but obviously he has something in mind.
I wouldn't have a story if that was the case.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't. We gotta have a driving force. And I just think that's what's so interesting about this show is that like I'm hooked and like with the main characters, but I also like the villains. And I think a good thing is like they're pacing out the story well. I think that's like the pro of most of these shonen, like more modern shonen anime. They are given time to breathe, like My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Attack on Titan, to name a few. They were able to like sit down with either the team, with the management that's in charge of the IP and whatever, and the animation team were able to sit down and be like, okay, we want to do this amount of episodes and then wait a year or two and then do another season. so then they can like tell the story that they want to. It's not like a One Punch Man situation where One Punch Man season 2 got rushed out and had an entirely different team behind it, and it suffered for that. Or you fall into the Promised Neverland season 2 situation where something happened midway through development of season 2, and then everything was just either rushed or and just super train wrecked. Like it got wrecked hard. It's very interesting. It's very interesting to read up about that one. Anyway, and granted, sometimes the introduction of some of these characters are a little much. We'll get into one of them. Well, two of them soon. But they're written in a way to where they avoid being just typical shonen anime tropes. Like I don't think Tanjiro, our main character, is as like I'm the chosen one. Like
No.
he's not given. I mean, yes, he's given like a sword that tells him like you can learn whatever you want. But he's not like, oh, you can master everything, or I have an astute skill with sword fighting. No, he has to work his way up to that, and that's what I like.
Something that I like is that like it's not just like on the first episode he's already ready to go on his adventure. No, it takes the first couple episodes for him to, figure out what he needs to do, how to gain the strength to take out these demons. And along the way he encounters like a couple different like mentors who kind of show him the ropes.
I guess we'll get into some of the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like for one, let's talk about the first true friend of Tanjiro's, Zenitsu Agatsuma, who learns the lightning breathing style and is constantly terrified of the world around him and wants to get married. And was anyone else kind of annoyed with him by like the first time we are introduced to him? Because it's not until like episode 8 or 10 or so, and I was like, man, I don't know what people are talking about. I'm enjoying this series so far. And then he pops up, and it's like, oh, this is it. This is the turning point.
For better or for worse, he Zenitsu and Inosuke, they really shift the tone of the series.
Yes.
Because before they show up, there's like a little bit of comic relief like sprinkled in, but the tone is like kind of mostly serious. When these two come in, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if anyone saw my tweet, but I compared the Zenitsu to Josh Makuga because every time he screams, he just screams blood, like he just
bloody murder.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear his scream like in the back of my head now, like it's great.
By the way, he's voiced by Alex Lay, and if you, Mike, you would know him because we've gone through like a couple different shows. Like he's in High Rise Invasion. He's in he's going to be in the new dub for Tokyo Revengers as the young gang leader that the lead meets.
Nice.
But he's also, Kaiman from Dorohedoro. And
yeah, that's how I know him.
Yeah, that's a great show, by the way, Manning.
Okay.
I definitely recommend it.
Recommend that, because again, I don't watch every single anime. Recommend the anime you think like, yes, this is what you'll like. You like Demon Slayer, you like other things. I'll tell you later. Yeah. I'm blinking.
No, I understand. So, but like at first I was like, I'm gonna hate this character so much because he kind of came off as like Moroku from Inuyasha, but like 2.0. Because he's like, because the first time you meet him, he's desperately asking a woman to marry him just so his life isn't useless. And I was just like, I do not like these types of characters. They better do something with him. And then when they go to that house with the 3 demons, including the one with the drums, he's useless. He's annoying. All he does is yell. And I know a few people that are not into that kind of comedy where the character's just constantly yelling. And then he's one of those characters that turned into a serious help within a pinch. And then I was like, okay, I get what they're doing with this character. Not to say like I had to be careful about how loud my TV was when I was watching the show, because I was like, I got to be careful. I don't want to wake anybody up. And then, of course, in the house, they meet the boar-headed Inosuke, who's voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, and he's been in everything. I mean, I'll talk about this with the voice cast. It's like full of people who are like actors who are new and have been in like everything. Like it'll be like it'll take more time to say what Papenbrook hasn't been in. But of course, Inosuke is not literally a pig head. He's wearing a pig mask and carries around two basically chainsaw like swords, or saw blade like swords. He fights with an animalistic attitude, and he also kind of has the same issue as Zenitsu, where a lot of his yelling is his character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so how do you think these two, like, because that's like the common thing that I could see people getting kind of having to sit, like, trouble sitting through. What makes Inosuke and Zenitsu different besides their yelling, and like what makes them appealing?
Well, for me personally, I agree. I'm Cameron. I completely agree. When he first came on, I was like, oh, what a funny bit character. I didn't know he was going to be one that we were going to have for a long. Because didn't we see him at the very first, or I guess second arc on the mount, not the mountain, but the training? What was that one called? That
It was like
the final selection.
Yeah.
Thank you. Final selection arc. We saw him there, and he was just doing his thing, and then it's like, oh, you're going to be a regular character.
Thing where we first meet him, and he's just like, oh my gosh, there were 20 people when we started, and now there's only 5.
Yes, that's when you know. Yeah, I love how the tone of this. I mean, again, as you just said, there were literally 5 people, 20 people just died, and when we get to the very end, you realize the body count is incredibly high in this show. People die like almost every episode. Usually maybe it's background characters sometimes, but regardless, like they're not afraid of people to die. Even sometimes very gory deaths, as we'll maybe get into later, talk about the visual aspect of this. They're not afraid to shy away, but at the same time, I think Zenitsu, he works well because sometimes he can be over the top, but I think that works well to juxtaposition the horrors that you're seeing being a demon slayer, as they're literally slaying these individuals. He counterbalances that. To me personally, some of the bits don't always work, but when you have his little sprite animations that transpire sometimes, I don't know, where he's like Nezuko, and he just I listen to the Japanese dub just because I like to hear the natural, but I'm not opposed to seeing the sub. I do the sub because I don't hear the how the Japanese voice actors do it, but I'm not opposed to the dub. I will sometimes see that as well too, depending on the case. But I love how the voice actor is kind of goes, he juxtapositions from just the immense amount of yelling he has, and then the pining off of Nezuko. That first time he meets her is just so endearing to me. When he sees her from the box, like that scene just lives in my head rent free. And I think that as characters, we get a little bit more into them as this season progresses, at least. And I know we're going to get even more about them. Like we got some even more tidbits on their characters than in the movie, but as who they are, I think they provide they're great additions to Tanjiro's journey, because they are almost the antithesis of who he is to a degree. Tanjiro's brave, but he's sweet and he's kind. And you have Inosuke, who is gruff and rough, loyal, but really gruff and rough of a character. The meathead, if we sometimes call him. And then also you have the
coward.
Yes, exactly. Zenitsu. He is a coward, but he is an endearing. He's the comedic relief in a lot of ways. So they kind of complement each other, but each one is not afraid to do battle, and we learn about that later. And there are layers to the character. Yes, he got annoying at first, but I think once we realized what he had to do, Zenitsu really shined for me personally, and I really think that Inosuke, especially, as we get to the end and he puts on that boar head, he takes off the boar head. I think that's when we get to see the expressions, and I think that works well to his character. But yeah, I think they're really great additions, and I think the characters are another strong point of this show that could be, for all intents and purposes, just one that kind of comes and goes, but the characters make it have some sort of lasting power in my mind.
I agree with that. Character development is probably one of the best elements of the series. Like each episode, like each of our main characters is in a better place than they were before, even if they're like physically destroyed. Like I think the way that these missions work, they have like never had a second to rest except for like once in a blue moon. So like every battle they're walking in with like broken ribs or like internal bleeding,
just dying.
Yeah.
And yet like they still muster up like that will to continue, all for the sake of saving humanity.
Because at first I was thinking like Zenitsu and Inosuke are almost kind of the same character in terms of comedy, because they yell a lot. One's a coward constantly. The other is, well, let's just put it kindly, Inosuke's rock stupid at points. But I think with how these shows are produced, like someone like Inosuke is given a lot more time to breathe, and I do like some of the bits, like when they're fighting the spider family and he's running away, and he's like, "What would they do? What would they do?" It's like, "Would they run?" And then he stops like in his tracks, and he's just like, "Wait, why the hell am I running?" And then he goes right back, almost gets killed, but like I said, I think they were given time to be characters and such.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's just there's a lot of charm and personality, and I think what also helps is that they sprinkle in very lightly the amount of characters that we meet, because sometimes a lot of shonen shows like to dump everything on you at once, and then like Naruto does that, and it's a bit much because then it's like, okay, how are we going to learn about all these new characters that you dropped? You just gave us 24 characters to follow, and we're not going to see half of them until much later. Okay. Why didn't you just show us later? But whatever.
Because I think they do. Go ahead, Cameron.
Because then it's like near the end of the first season, we meet the what's the term that the top rank slayers are called?
Oh, crap. Wow.
Hold on. Anyway, like they're the Gotai 13 of the Demon Slayer world. They're the ones who are like the highest ranked, and
they're the Hashira.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Hashira. And they kind of introduce you to all of them at once, but due to the show's really distinct visual style, they look unique. They're instantly recognizable, and
oh yes,
when you find out like what element they all have, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like the stone Hashira Gyome Himejima, he's tall as a mountain. He's built like a statue, so of course he's the tallest one of the bunch. And then like you have the wind Hashira Sanemi, who is a bloody psycho. And I think that's, like I said, I think that's another thing that helps this show stand out, because sometimes anime can all blend together unintentionally or not, because then it's like, oh, do you know, like, are you talking about this show or that show? And it's like, oh, they kind of look similar. Here you can tell this is Demon Slayer.
Oh, absolutely.
From the body types to the faces to really the eyes. I think the eyes are the thing that make this show stand out. Everyone has a distinct look to them. Like, you could tell who they are as individuals by their looks. And I will say, I think one of my favorite characters is the Mist Hashira Muichiro. When everyone's just like, yeah, we should put this guy to death. And he's just like, what's that bird called again?
I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, it's a crow. Oh, all right. What were we talking about? No. But and then also I think what got a lot of the internet's attention is the action sequences where it's people fighting with swords. We've seen this. We've seen this with like Bleach and Inuyasha and what have you. But then they do this cool like ink paint style to like the sword slashes and whatnot. It's like they add a little more flair to the attacks to make them look more interesting. They're not like transforming swords or anything like that. Well, actually, one of them doesn't even use a sword, but we haven't seen that yet. And it's a very good looking show, and I think they translate like it's probably one of the better looking shows of the current anime scene. But what do y'all think about the visuals?
A show that we discussed on the last anime preview, Joran, Princess of Blood and Snow. It has a very similar art style to that, like particularly during the action scenes. And I really like Tanjiro's water breathing abilities. Because he has some cool attacks. He's got let's see
the water style.
Yeah, he's got like the water wheel, the the vortex, and then I forget the name of it, but it's like that one like water dragon that comes out.
Yeah.
Just the way those are all animated and choreographed, they just look so. It just looks breathtaking, man.
It is, and if I might add, like when I want to show people what rich colors mean, this is what I want to show them, because everything's so it feels so intentionally colored. It doesn't feel muted by any. The tones are very vibrant and just they're in your face. When you talked about, Mike, the when you talked about like the watercolor, the first thing I thought of is like, wow, that water is just illustrated so well. It sticks out immensely for the colors that they use. Like the palette in this entire movie, well, in the show, the show and the movie is just something that it's a visual feast for the eyes. It's one that you can't keep looking away. And I'm never also lost with the way they choreograph the action, how it looks, feels natural and organic, but it also feels like it's meticulously made. It's meticulously it's framed in a way to where you'll be able to follow the action very, very clearly. And Hashira, when you see them there, they make an appearance at the very end of the movie. When you see each of them distinctly, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that person. I remember that person. I remember that person. And when I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, and I hadn't seen the show in almost a year, but I remembered each one of them because the visual style was so distinct and so intentionally made that not only do the colors pop, but their designs pop as well too. Very thick lines, very fluid motion. It's a very beautiful show, and out of the few anime that I've seen, it's one that I think is probably the most visually stunning out of all of them.
And I just like the designs. They're not. I mean, some of them have fairly distinct like we have to have the slightly curvaceous character of Mitsuri, the love Hashira. But like I said, you could tell and they're really smart with how they handle the introduction of some of these characters, like the Hashira. Like they're like when you first see them at the end of season 1, you're not given too much time to like get a distinct look or impression about them. But then with how they're acting and then just their character, then you find out like the flame Hashira, Kyojuro, he's very boastful and proud and such. And it's like, oh, okay, I can totally tell what kind of character we're getting here and such. Or like I said, Sanemi, the wind Hashira with all the scars across his face, and it's like, oh boy, you don't want to mess with this guy.
Yeah, a lot of these characters, even if you don't see them for a whole, like, even if they don't get a whole lot of screen time, their designs almost sort of inform their personalities.
Yeah, and there's like the sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui, who I like his design with that headband thing and what have you. For some reason, this is a big stinking point for anime fans, not because of the show itself, but just because, Japan was one of the last places to keep using 2D animation. There is CGI in this show. Be quiet. It's actually handled well. Ufotable's one of those studios like Studio Orange and Polygon Pictures that know how to use CGI, and they know how to implement it.
And I will, like, in the very first episode, I noticed it offhand because with the few anime that I've seen, I don't notice at all any CGI that is used. And it is used in this one, but that 3D animation is used so effectively especially when they use backgrounds a lot of the time, like the snow that they were working with. And that's why I said the visuals worked really well, because the sheer stark whiteness of the show and how the snow, that's not right, of the actual snow just works so well against the colors of the characters and their designs. And the CGI actually really works in making it feel more three-dimensional. Not saying that they couldn't have done it hand drawn, but like it was an artistic decision that I'm totally on board with.
I mentioned in my quick thoughts that the CGI was noticeable but not distracting, like it can be in some of the lesser shows that we watched. But here they use it for very specific purposes. Like some of the things I noticed that they used it the most were for some of the larger demons that they were facing, like in the movie when I forget the character's name. I think he was like lower
one Enmu.
Yeah. When he was like taking over the train, that's when they had CGI to like to show him kind of like expanding out. And I think when it's used like that, it's a lot more effective than in other times I've seen it.
Yeah, no. It's noticeable when it is there for me, but I never found it to be like a huge detractor. I mean, come on, when you've seen X Arm, like every other CGI just looks amazing.
Very true.
I heard you guys talking about that. Now I'm so concerned. Like before in your last or 2 episodes ago, and I'm like, what in the world are they talking about? What is this? What is this you guys are talking about? I've never heard of this.
Oh boy, well I'll show you I'll send the trailer to you after this podcast.
Please, yes. I'm so can't wait to be enlightened.
Yeah. And so Mike, did you watch the dub or the sub for this?
I watched the dub for both the series and the movie.
All right, I just want to talk a little bit about, first off, I've seen both sub and dub versions of the show. I've only seen the dub version of the film, and you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm a sub only person or I'm a dub only person. And a lot of people like to complain about dubs and such. And it's like, y'all really don't remember how bad they used to be. No, go back in time when Central Park Media was one of the biggest anime distributors around. And, oh, lordy. Like, be fortunate that, like, a weird accent here or there might throw you off instead of just bad acting. So, but I found the English dub for this great, and it's what's kind of fun about these Aniplex titles is that they tend to use a batch of like new generation voice actors and old generation voice actors. Like on one hand you have Tanjiro voiced by Zach Aguilar. I hope I said that last name correctly. And yeah, like you might not know a lot about his voice, but he's been in stuff like the recently shown Mars Red. He's one of the main characters of the Vampire Corps. He's the one who's like an S rank vampire. He's also Genos in One Punch Man. And if you play that Pokemon Masters X game on mobile, he voices a ton of Pokemon characters on that in that mobile game. But then you also have we have Abby Trott who plays Nezuko. And she's done a lot of like character acting and stuff. She was in like the Ni no Kuni film for Netflix, and she was in like Millennium Actress and like a ton of other stuff. But then you have Alex Lay, like who has said is Kaiman from Dorohedoro. And then you have like Bryce Papenbrook, who's been in the game for a long time. And then you have like Gyu Tomioka, the Water Hashira, voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, who, was a Power Ranger. He was also in like everything from Promare to Trigun, and he's in like the second My Hero Academia film. And then like you have Kirk Thornton, who if you've seen Samurai Champloo, he's Jigen from that. He's one of the main characters from Samurai Champloo. He's the hand demon. And then you also have like what?
I was gonna say that is the first one. Kirk Thornton. Like I recognize that name. All right, go on. I just wanted to say I know.
Yeah,
someone.
no. I understand. And then you have like Zeno Robinson, who is like Go in the Pokemon Journeys, the series on Netflix. He's also Hawks in My Hero Academia. He voices Genya Zugawa, who is the really kind of psychotic looking guy who has a huge scar. He was in the final selection one. He wears like the purple garb and has a very serious look on his face. Like a real like I'm going to murder you if you talk to me look. And then you have Brianna Knickerbocker, who plays the Slayer that helps Tanjiro recover and train. Then you have Robbie Damon, who Mike you would know as one of the main characters from Infinity Train Book 2. He plays one of the main characters. He voices Haganezuka, the sword maker, who is a delightful character because you never see his face outside of that mask. And if you break his sword, well, you better have a good explanation for that. Then like you had the Crow, who's voiced by Doug Erholtz, who is Zenigata from the current Lupin franchise.
Nice.
And like I said, this is kind of like my kind of thing because I can spot old and new voice actors.
Yeah, like a couple that I noticed were Kyle Hebert voices Kozo Kanamori, the other swordsmith who gives the kids their new swords.
I have to say that was one of my favorite moments where they're like I hope y'all can enjoy your new swords, and then of course Boarhead he breaks like turns his swords into saw blades again, and he's just like, oh, now I understand why you Hanegazuka hate these people.
Wait, so that's Robbie Damon, you said?
Yeah, Robbie Damon.
Oh no way! That's Goro. Isn't he Goro Akechi in Persona 5?
Let me see. Let's see. He's like Veneer in the Konosuba series. He's let's see. Yeah, Goro Akechi.
He's also Tuxedo Mask in the redub of Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he's also like Moomin Rider and One Punch Man, and he's also like I said, and of course, like I said, he's Jesse from Infinity Train Book 2, and he's everywhere.
He is.
And then like you have Kyle McCarley and Laura Post as Tamayo and Yushiro. And then of course, like I said, you got Steve Blum as Kyo Guy, and he's everywhere. And then you have like Derek Stephen Prince as the one spider demon, the one with the human head and the giant spider body.
Yep.
And Derek Stephen Prince is a very old time voice actor. Like, well, not I say old time like he was from the 70s and 80s. But no, what I mean like he's been around. Like he's Uryu in Bleach, he's Shino in Naruto. And then like he popped up a lot in like Gurren Lagann. He's everywhere. Like he used to be like one of those like reoccurring voice actors that you would get. And then we got like Erica Harlasher as Shinobu Kocho, the Hashira who poisons her opponents. And then you have like Erica Lembeck as the spider demon, the elder sister who gets poisoned to death. And like it's a very good dub. Like I have no real complaints. I do love the three young girls with the little dot eyes, who are voiced by Jackie Lastra, Michelle Mary, and Kimberly Woods.
Yeah, those were fun little characters.
Yeah, no. And then Guillaume Himejima is voiced by Crispin Freeman, who he's also been like what it's one of those things. Yeah, classic voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you see Mirai, he's Yuko, the dog prince. He's Itachi Uchiha from Naruto. He's also he was also Speedy for the Judas Contract Teen Titans film. No, like I said, this is my kind of wheelhouse and like where Crispin Freeman has been and all that. Oh yeah, and he's also Speedy and Young Justice. So and yeah, no, it's a very good voice cast, and I also like Mark Ritton as Kyo Judo, who you would think like his speaking mannerisms would get a little annoying, but they tend to find a way to make him like insanely likable, but also very funny with how he talks. Like when you see him in Mugen Train, where the first time the characters see him, he's just going like tasty. They're like, what the heck was that? Tasty. And they're like, but that was one of my favorite joke where he's just like, everything here is tasty. And then Tanjiro's like, yeah, we heard you the first 50 times.
I love that self-awareness that they were. It's like, yes, we know it's weird what he's saying, but it's his character.
Yeah, no. And I guess what did y'all think about going back to the characters? Since that's all I have for like some of the voice actors. You can look up, like, they got a lot of good people for this show.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of you two think of Muzan, the main antagonistic force, the guy who can turn people into demons or take demon powers away or give demons more power?
I think he made a great first impression in that episode where he's pretty much hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
In that town or village where he appears to have a wife and a daughter, and the second we see him turn someone into a demon, because he's out in the open, and because demon slayers are not exactly known to the public, when Tanjiro is like trying to like pin him down, you see people like, hey, stop that, leave that man alone.
And then he just stabs someone and turns him into a demon to get him get Tanjiro off his back. And
yeah, because like the first second, like when you meet him again, that's an excellent choice, because I thought like we had just heard about him and now we're gonna see him like maybe at the very end of the season or something, but no, we meet him like immediately when they get to town, immediately, and it's like a very nice breath of fresh air that we get such a quick meeting of him. And we get to see and understand who he was. He was just some guy. I was thinking at first like, oh, we have the wrong guy, this can't be it, and then of course no, he's not. He actually is evil Michael Jackson, which again, I love that design. I'm curious in what they decided to do for that first impression, if that was an intentional design choice. Obviously he can shapeshift, and I love that fact, because now I'm always going to question, is that Muzan that we see right there? Which great power move at the very end by taking out like all but one of the lower moons. Like, it cuts a lot of the time in half we could have had in trying to take out every single one and having an arc take out every single individual. Instead, it shows a power move and shows how utterly powerful he is, while at the same time condensing down what could have been like a super long arcs here and there, taking out every single one.
Another thing to point out is like before that, like all the other demons that they faced before Rui, like they all felt like impossible tasks trying to take these people down. But then when you realize that like Rui is one of the 12, it kind of ups the stakes by a few degrees.
Yeah, Rui was an interesting opponent to encounter. But by the way, fun fact, he's voiced by Billy Kametz, who was what's his name? He's in Promare. He's Gallows Thymos, and he's also in like Welcome to Demon School at Ruma-kun, which I'll talk about later, as Alice Asmodeus. Great. He's a great voice actor. That I'll just stick to that. And it was very interesting because okay, this is a demon slaying action show, so we're going to see a spider demon, but like I said earlier, they really build his character up as like he was originally a human with a very frail constitution, and then our main scumbag villain just kind of walks in and it's like, hey, I can give you powers. Okay, I'll give you powers. And then he accidentally, or just through a misunderstanding, kills his family because he thought they were going to kill him. And then he turns other people into spider demons and turns them into his family. And you feel that loss and lack of connection because he doesn't really treat them as a family. He's kind of like, I can kill you easily if you cross me the wrong way.
They're prisoners,
And
basically.
yeah. And like I just love that they give so much like backstory to these demons and just the hierarchy of the villains as much as they do with the good guys.
And yeah, if I could add, like, since we're
go ahead.
talking about the villains, like, we took Muzan, and like, because we get a little taste of the evil that he is, and just the ruthlessness that comes within his master plan, whatever that may be. I know it's probably the manga. I have not read the full manga, so I'm excited and learning this as we get each new episode. The villains here, I think, Cameron, you mentioned this. It's very emotional whenever we get to see them. They could have been like one-off villains, and they've been like, "You foiled my plans, and I'm dying." Rah! But no, it's literally exactly that's how they would sound, like a 1920s villain. No, we have actual moments of their backstory. Sometimes I think it goes on a little too long. They could have cut the backstory a little bit more or they could have interspersed it, because they throw a whole bunch of exposition right on their last moments, which I think they could have interspliced. But I like the idea at the very least, while the execution to me personally can sometimes be forced on quite often, because it's like it takes you out for that second. But I think what it does is at its core theme is about forgiveness and like the humanity and what it means to be human. And I think that's, to me, what it means to be human, and what makes us human is the core of what Demon Slayer is. And the villains, while they're really cool, they have awesome fight sequences, they continue to spur that question further, because I think it was when we that very first one, when the final selection arc, that demon movie face right there, when he died, I wasn't so saddened as much as I don't know why. I was probably more like, whoa, that was different. But when we got to the one in the house, what was that one's name? His name is
Kyogai.
That one really hit home when we got to talk about like, oh, hey, I love your writing. It's a small thing for Tanjiro's character to notice that, but it was like, oh Lord, this guy is just trying to live his life. And then someone noticed that when he was basically a demon. And it's this full painted picture of these characters, even the villains included, that I really appreciate.
No, it just makes it for a more interesting show. Like I love Jujutsu Kaisen, and they do kind of a similar thing where they let you spend time with the villains, even though a lot of that time is that like, oh, these guys are just really, really like you don't want to mess with them. And yes, you could say that like it takes a little bit for the pathos to kind of kick in for the other demons to learn to be more interesting. Like the one that you meet at the temple, the one where like Tanjiro just accidentally wins.
Yeah.
And then of course that's where we get Noriko's like kicking strength. Like she like kicked the head right off of him.
Oh
off
yeah.
Of the demon.
Oh wow. Forgot about that.
But of course, like he's introduced to show you what happens when demons encounter sunlight. It's like one of the few ways to kill him. By the way, he's voiced by Benjamin Diskin. You would know him as like Hyena from Agretsuko. He's number 1 and number 2 in The Kids Next Door.
And he's Bebo on Legend of Tomorrow.
Yeah. And so, of course, like that's like some of the things y'all would know him from. But then it's like after that, they gave a little more, like they slowly built up to it. And I mean, that's why I will say one of the few things I don't like about this show, and it's kind of like the same problem like that some shows like My Hero Academia suffers from at times. The male characters seem to get more of like the development side of things. Like I get it. Nezuko is a demon, and they slowly have started to build her up a little more, like in terms of what kind of character she is. But a lot of the time, she's just inside a box. I mean, technically, that makes her like she's in every scene because, but it's
saves the budget just to draw.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of a bummer because I do like these other Hashira members that we meet later on. Like I thought, like like I loved like Mitsuri, and I was just like, okay, is she going to be like the Ranjiko Matsumoto from Bleach kind of character? And I love how she's just like she loves how like how good looking everyone is, and then when something funny happens, they actually give her like an off model kind of comedic look of her trying to hold back her laughter. And I like that. Like I said, a lot of these characters have a little more nuance to them, even if we haven't spent a whole lot of time with them. And like I mean that's really it. That's really the only, like I guess I would say like it's going to take a little bit for the show to really kick in what's really good about it. But if you can stick through, like you can't use the 3 episode rule here. You have to use like a 5 episode rule, because otherwise I could see people kind of dropping off because they're taking a lot more time to build everything, like to build up everything. But I don't.
Although, in my opinion, if you're not hooked by the first, I mean, fine. If you're not hooked by the first episode, then maybe give it a few more. But I would say like that first episode for me personally was enough to get me just completely hooked onto the series.
It's a like fantastic pilot.
I think like it took me less than 24 hours to binge all 26 episodes. That's how invested I was in the series from the jump.
You know, I mean, like I said, it's a really good first episode, but I'm just saying like they take a few episodes for the training to happen. And
sure. Like
yeah, and I'm not saying that and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying it's like heads up.
Right. Like episodes 2 through 5 are sort of like they're a little bit of a slow burn, but the payoff is worth it.
Yeah, no, the show knows how to pay off. It's like slower story beats. And I mean that's really all I have to complain about with the show. Like maybe I wish the demons were a little more interesting instead of just being humanoid, I guess. But that's just me because I love Japanese folklore creatures and such, and so far it just seems like a lot of them are just humanoid and that's it. But we'll have to see how that goes. Because I mean I could read the manga, but I like watching the show. So
I mean, we did get a spoiler alert. We did get an actual demon turn into a train, so that was kind of amazing. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no. But I guess let's talk about Mugen Train because, okay, so let's set a few things up first. Yes, it is it's a shonen franchised film, and here are like the biggest problems with these films for me. The story introduced doesn't matter to the overarching story of the show. Mm-hmm. It's just one-off. You can enjoy it on your own accord.
That's like a lot of the Dragon Ball movies.
A lot of the Dragon Ball movies.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they take continuity into effect, but then it's just like, why do you take it into effect now? And then they'll introduce like movie exclusive characters and elements to the show. And it's like, okay, I get it. You want to have like, okay, why should I go see this movie based off of a TV show in a theater? What's going to get me? And it's like, oh, here's these new characters and these new villains. Well, you will never hear about any of these elements from the story or these villains or anything in the main series. And then it becomes that point of like, man, that thing that happened in the 5th movie would have been super helpful at this point in the main show. And that's what I always hate about these kind of franchise films. That's why I don't cover them. Because they all follow a very basic pattern of like storytelling. Even like with some of them, like Bleach had a really cool story beat for one of the Gotai 13, but then it's like, oh wait, shonen franchise film, it won't matter. Here's what Mugen Train does right first. This is actually, the movie is based off of a story arc from the show. It's like literally the next story arc, but they made it into a movie. I love that. Because then I mean yes, it then means that, oh great, well now I gotta go watch the show if I'm going to understand anything about this movie. Well, you know, yes, you don't just jump in.
Do it.
You don't jump into Thor Ragnarok if this is your first time into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You go to the beginning. But to me, I think that was very smart because I feel like this would be interesting, because then this means if they wanted to, if they feel like a story arc would fit better as a movie, I think a lot more shows should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I could feel that's actually a really good point, Cameron. Like most and the Dragon Ball movies very much are. They were I guess now more, but I can talk about that another day. Resurrection F and whatnot are more in the canon of Super, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
This definitely is one that you have to have watched the show beforehand, otherwise you're just like, what's going on? You know that little I haven't watched The Simpsons, but that Simpsons meme of like, haha, I'm in danger, but in this case it's like, haha, I have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, no, understandable. No, and like a lot of the problems with these franchise films is that like they have to take at least 5 minutes to basically catch everyone up.
With this film, it literally starts right where like the last episode left off.
It's legit.
And I think that's smart, because then it's just like, okay, we could just pick right up from where we left off, and now we know what the stakes are. Well, I'll say we do know until the last 30 minutes, but we'll get to that when we get to that, because now our main characters are on the train to deal with some kind of issue, and then they of course run into our favorite proud fire boy, Kyojuro Rengoku.
Yes.
Eating tasty stuff. And I think that's what I like about this film. They keep it kicks in pretty well. They don't take time to reintroduce anything. They just say like, okay, we know why you're here, and then they kick the plot going. And then two, what I think this I want to say film does well. It's not set up like a typical shonen franchise film, because I think like with that last episode of the first season, I was like, oh, so it's going to be like that setup. You have one major bad guy, and he's going to have like 4 or 5 underlings that you'll have to fight, that they'll have to face against. And then our main villain is just like, no, you guys don't get to be in a movie. I'm going to eat you, kill you. I'm going to hold your head. And then I'm going to give this one guy powers because he's kissing my feet. And it's not, and like I said, it's not set up like a traditional shonen franchise film. It's just like our main villain for really 99% of the runtime is Inmu, who is a creepy individual. Like, oh yep. God, that thing with the mouths on the hands.
Definitely creepy stuff.
And then, I mean, it's a very action-oriented film. I'm not like, because I have to say this because I was about to say it's not a very action-focused film or story, because what the film focuses a lot of its time on is more like, okay, so these characters are finally at a place on in a train, and we kind of deal with the themes of grief and loss.
Yes,
because then it turns into a little bit more like psychological. Well, maybe it's psychological for like Tanjiro and Kyojuro. I don't know what the heck's going on with Zenitsu and Inosuke with their dreams.
They're side characters in this
movie.
No,
I thought it was very humorous. It's just like everyone has like, it's like Kyojuro and Tanjiro are going to have these complex emotional like state of mind, while Inosuke is acting like I'm the leader of the bunch. I'm the good guy, while everyone else are like idiots. And then Zenitsu is having like his ideal dream date with Nezuko. I'm not sure if I like that pairing, just because Zenitsu's kind of a creep. But
I think the only reason I give it a pass is because it's established like pretty much right when we meet Zenitsu that he's kind of clingy and doesn't really know how to talk to girls. So it's not like the ship is ever going to actually go anywhere.
I hope
know of. I don't know.
Well, who knows? It's like, because this is anime. It can go into wildly disappointing directions if
it can go wherever it wants.
Because I've seen a lot of shows where it's like, oh, this brother and sister are close, and then it's like, no.
Reverse.
Yeah. Turn on the brakes. Don't watch the second half of the series. Bye. No. But I like that they went into like Kyojiro's mind of this like feeling like disconnected from his father, who was a Hashira, but then gave up for reasons unknown or unknown to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tanjiro finally dealing with the fact that it's like, oh yeah, I haven't really processed the fact that I lost my family.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's very interesting when Inmu like I guess contracts these kids to like I guess he blackmails those kids. I forgot what exactly happened. Did he have like power over them to tell them what to do and such? Is that how it worked?
I think it was, from what I gathered, he was basically saying, hey, you'll get this dream. I'm going to give you a peaceful dream. I know you're kind of in life, you are struggling right now. That one kid had tuberculosis, and he basically said, hey, if you do this, I will give you a peaceful dream, so you won't be living in this nightmare that you currently are, that is real life. That's what I saw it as, at least.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. And I do find it kind of humorous that like two of them were struggling like hell when they were inside Inosuke and Zenitsu's like dark place. Like Zenitsu.
The funnier one is in Zenitsu's head, where it's just pitch black, and then Zenitsu comes in. Hey, you're not supposed to be here.
That was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh Lord, save
He
me.
turns into like the villain from Clock Tower with the giant pair of scissors. But I liked seeing the journey of that. Like one of the kids who has tuberculosis is like at
Yes.
all with Tanjiro's mindset, and like what happened to those kids? Because I know like the tuberculosis kid was fine. Did the others die, or like I guess I kind of lost track of them for a moment.
I think they just got knocked out.
I think knocked out. I think so, because otherwise I was just like, they didn't die, did they? No, I guess I've had a lot on my mind today. So.
Well, you got to remember that by the end of this, there were seemingly no casualties on the train, which I think it's both impressive but also a little bit unbelievable. I know, like in a world full of demons, it's the most unbelievable thing is that there will be no casualties.
Yeah.
Yes. and I think, yeah, but I think they did good with the fact that no one got out scot-free. There was a casualty. So that's why I think I forgave that suspension of disbelief, because it's like, sure, Jan.
Well, so what did y'all think about Inmu? Because for the most part, he was our main villain of the film.
And Enmu was he was creepy for sure. But I like his outfit. I like his sort of like kind of Tim Burton-y sort of presence.
I think he had a bit of a hedonistic side to him also, because he was like overly like, oh yes, Lord Demon. What's the main villain's name?
Muzan or Muzan?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. He's like, yes, please, Muzan. Like, give me your powers. I will do whatever you ask. And he like felt the joy and such of putting people in these nightmares and such.
Now, speaking of these dreams, one thing that really stood out, at least with Tanjiro's dream, it reminds me a lot of a Superman story called "For the Man Who Has Everything."
Oh, good call.
And just seeing him kind of like briefly reunite with his family was just really touching. Even though eventually he figures out like none of this is real. I'm trapped in a dream. Like it was just nice to see them again.
It was, and
heartbreaking. Oof.
Yeah, super heartbreaking, because he realized like he wants to be there but he can't. And by the way, Inmu is voiced by Landon McDonald. And I'm not sure how many people would recognize him, but he was like Rohan Kishibe from the JoJo Bizarre Adventure spinoff that spoke Kishibe Rohan. And he was also in like Welcome to Demon School Aruma-kun. He's also in that Pokemon Masters mobile game as Flint and Sharon. I thought like he was a very compelling villain. I'm glad that they didn't go with the typical franchise film thing of like he had like 2 or 3 henchmen, because they could have easily done that. But he definitely showed that he was a threat.
I mean,
No,
I think he had henchmen, those two people that were dispatched really quickly at the very beginning. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah, those
but-
those people were gone.
Yeah, no, but I wouldn't call them like like the quote unquote movie exclusive henchmen or something like that,
Mm-mm.
where it's like, oh, these characters are made for the movie. That's how like a lot of One Piece works and what have you. And I mean, to be clear, it is a Tanjiro Kyojuro story. Zenitsu and Inosuke take a backseat, and of course Nezuko isn't seen until like 30 to 40 minutes in. Like,
Which was noticeable.
yeah. I mean, I'm sorry I keep bringing that up, but that is the one sour note of Nezuko's character, that she's like Ashley from Resident Evil 4, where it's just like, get in this dumpster, Ashley, and I'll kill all these zombies, and then you can come back out. Even though Nezuko can literally fight on her own, and when she does get the fight, that's great.
Oh yeah.
And the action scenes were really good in this film. I think that the train is a very creative setting, because it's like it's compact, but it's constantly moving. Though granted, when Enmu does finally get killed, and he's just like, I didn't get to eat a single human on this train. And it's like, dude, you had like all the time in the world.
You've no one to blame but yourself.
I'm sorry, that's the one. I mean, it's a nitpick. This isn't like a real like, oh, this movie's bad now. No. It's just funny hearing that. Like I'm like, oh man, I kind of get this character, but it's also like, well, it's your own fault that you didn't eat any of these sleeping passengers. They weren't moving around. I do wonder what happened. Like everyone wakes up and it's like, okay, why is the train turned over? What happened? But what did you all think about the action set pieces?
I thought the action was really well done. This is another example. Like this and the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie are kind of the best examples of how to take what we normally watch on television and really expand it for the big screen.
Yeah, no, especially Enmu. I found him to be a very compelling fighter, because like he technically doesn't throw a punch, but he's not so much of like a behind the scenes villain to let his mind controlled henchmen or whatever take on the main characters, and then it's just like, oh, he's easy to take care of. He holds his own, and I respect that. I mean, granted, since he's the highest ranked of the lower ones, he was probably going to be a threat, like more so of a threat. But I mean, I just I like that. And then of course when you find out that he's just like, I've merged with the train.
That was cool.
Don't know how the conductor did not notice any of that, but whatever. I'm not going to question that. But
did the conductor allow it? Because he was literally just kind of like, didn't he try to literally stab?
Yeah, because
heroes at the very end.
Because because Enmu was like trying to make sure that they didn't hit the weak spot in the engine, and then he got the conductor to try to stab Tanjiro. And I think it almost worked, but I forgot because it was a bit chaotic, because he had Tanjiro and Inosuke in the same room, and Inosuke is just, they tell him to go, that he only needs to be at an 8, and Inosuke goes at a 15 at everything he does.
Yep.
But then it's just like, and I think the last thing that this film does, while having like a very compelling story with the themes and just giving all the characters time to get fleshed out, especially for Kyojuro, you think like, okay, they beat Enmu, and then you look at the runtime and it's like, there's 40 minutes left.
I thought the same thing when Enmu died. I'm like, wait, how much was the movie left? Oh, okay, we're not done yet. And that's when we meet Upper Moon 3 or Akaza.
Which I saw it in theaters, so I was like, wow, this wrapped up real nice. And then I didn't realize we had an extra like how many more minutes left. So I'm just like, wait, who are we introducing now? Wait, how long has it been? Where am I? It was a real epiphany.
That's how like these shonen franchise films go. Basically, they kill the main bad guy, and then that's it. Like you don't need any others. You don't need any other closure because the story doesn't matter. Well, the story matters here. So, like Mike said, we are introduced to Akaza, one of the higher ranked demons. And I give so much kudos. Well, first of all, we get a great fight sequence with Kyojuro
Ugh.
against Akaza, which that was a
Gorgeous.
great, just good hand-to-hand, well, hand-to-sword combat.
Mm-hmm.
And it just showed how powerful Kyojuro can be when pushed to his limits. And then, and who knows, maybe manga fans were like, oh yeah, I saw this point coming. Kyojuro is killed. Most of
Mhm.
these franchise films have happy endings and such, or happy endings that like would have been really important within the main show, but movie doesn't matter. They this movie ends on a dour note. Well, an optimistic but dour note.
Mhm.
It's a very bittersweet ending, and one that really got to me. But we'll expand that a little bit later. For now I just want to talk about like how powerful Rengoku gets with him displaying all of his flame breathing technique.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, no, he's a very cool character. Like because at first it's kind of like, oh, I've seen fire-based characters. They're not
Mhm.
all that special. And then it's like, oh, well, hello there.
Hello there.
Oh, and then it's like, I mean, it's very interesting because it's like we just got done with the highest ranked to the lower ranked demons, and then here comes Akaza pimping in like, "Hey y'all, you thought this was the end game? No, 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 no. I'm the end game." And
Y'all ain't gonna do well against the end game.
no, and it shows just like how much more work even the Hashira and the Slayers have
Mhm.
if they like at first I was like, I know that they had to go by the manga. I know they had to go by the manga, but I was kind of hoping that Kyojiro would be victorious against Akaza, either killing Akaza or Akaza getting away, but still like, man, we have some work to do.
So is it well known that Rengoku dies in this encounter when it comes to in the manga? Obviously, I know the manga's finished, but is it well known that he dies in this encounter?
If it was, it's news to me.
Hmm.
I have been I have been like evading as many spoilers as possible.
Oh, same.
So like everything that I've seen is pretty much new information.
Yeah, no, I think it was probably known by manga fans, but
Yeah.
I'm only assuming, but that's just how I feel like it is.
Mhm.
Um, but go
I know
ahead.
when I was, oh no, I know when I was like watching it, like Rengoku, I'm gonna be real. I've seen Fire before, as you had said. Like when we saw all the Hashiras in that last few episodes of the season 1 of Demon Slayer, I was like, okay, cool. But he wasn't one that I was like gravitating towards because he's the most basic out of all of them. Not saying it's bad, but his design is like, oh, a flame based one. Cool. We know.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It would have been
But
hilarious if he was like the water Hashira instead.
That would have been funny.
He's like, no, I like dyeing my hair. No.
he's like, it's a statement. I go through
yeah.
these periods.
Yeah. And I have to say, I give so much credit for Rengoku and his voice actor, Mark Wizen,
Yes.
because he delivers like some of the best lines near the end, saying like, because Akaza was just like, you humans just kind of suck, you can't beat us, we're invincible, you should just become demons. And then Rengoku's just like, but living and dying is the greatest thing about human life, and that's why it's worth fighting for. And man, he was just so cool. I wish I
Mhm.
didn't kill him, but of course that's the stakes. This demon was able to take down a Hashira. So,
Yeah,
um,
and I think that with this as a like him as a character was infinitely more compelling the more we got to know him. I wish we had more time with him because like I feel like there was still so much that we could learn about him as a character. Just that taste of his backstory I felt was enough to engage us with him. And I would have given anything just to have a little bit more about what that backstory, what happened to his brother. Do we gonna see his brother again? Why was his father like that? Why did his mother die so young? I want to know about these because I'm so curious now. We were just given a small like charcuterie board of just little slices, and we were given a couple slices, and it's like, nope, can't have the rest. But those few slices were so good, and Rengoku became a character like he is one that I think that Tanjiro where he's gonna have an impact on Tanjiro, however long these anime is gonna go. We're gonna look back on him and be like, he was the first one we really got to know. I mean, well, one of the first. And with that impact and what his death represented, I feel, and again, going back to the themes, I feel like that is exactly, he was the best representation of what humanity could offer. And his death was like, I literally, I think I legit, I've cried like 3 times in Demon Slayer properties, and that in total, and that was one of them. His death and him trying to say his last few words with Tanjiro.
Yeah, I definitely got teary-eyed watching watching him perish, and then just hearing like what he had to say to Tanjiro and his friends. Like it almost kind of reminded me of a more bittersweet version of Doc Brown's speech at the end of Back to the Future Part 3. And then oddly enough, what hit me even harder was after that, when Inosuke, in his brash yelling but definitely crying voice,
Yes,
yes, like, stop whining and be great because you're great. And I don't know, there's something about the delivery and the performance that it just hits so much harder than probably even originally intended.
Yeah, no. While Inosuke can be as dumb as a rock,
yes,
he's awkward. Like, he's awkward in what he's trying to say, but you get what he's trying to say. Like, he's not as elegant with his wording. He's just saying, like, don't let this stop us. We got to keep living. We got to keep getting stronger, or else Rengoku's words mean nothing. And
yes.
I was very moved by it. It's like, I was so shocked of how much enjoyment I got from this, because I was like, I only like a few franchise films. I like the second My Hero Academia film and maybe 1 or 2 of the Pokemon films, but that's because they decided to write an actual story with those, but that's for another time. But like, the way this movie was able to like flip the table, pull the rug out from under us, and or at least from my expectations, and just how it has that very bittersweet ending was just like, I think this makes it one of the better like of these types of films.
And I'll say this too, and this could also just be the way I watched the whole series so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mugen Train makes for a better. I think this is like kind of the definitive season finale, and I wonder if this is how they plan to end every season, with like a big theatrical film.
I could see that happen. Like I said, I feel like
that.
if the team thinks a movie would be a better fit for a story arc, I'd say give it a go, because otherwise you have stuff like One Piece where they will drag out a story arc because they need to keep up with the weekly manga chapter releases or something like that, or they come up, or shows come up with like non-canon story time films or filler arcs. I feel like I think what saves Demon Slayer is kind of like the same thing that saves My Hero Academia and like Jujutsu Kaisen. They're keeping the story moving. They know what you want to watch. And so I think if they can say like, hey, this story arc coming up would work better as a movie, and that way we can get a little more funding for the sequences and such, we should be able to do that. And I think, sure, like I wouldn't mind that. So
that'd be perfect, because that would allow us again to have a bigger budget for these more epic set pieces that are set in like a finale setting. Like, I know they probably wouldn't have been able to do so much. Like, I think this felt like maybe like 4 episodes, but it didn't feel like 4 episodes, if you know what I mean. Like, they could have cut this to 4 episodes, but it didn't feel like they did that. It wasn't stitched together. It was legit like they took their time and wanted to make this into a movie, and I appreciated that.
I don't think this would have worked as a traditional story arc, like TV, like TV anime story arc.
I agree, because if you try to pace like the events of the movie out like the anime, it'll feel uneven, and if you drag it out longer than 2 hours, then like we said earlier, it kind of falls into the One Piece dilemma. So like the way they paced out the movie, I think was perfect.
Oh yeah, as I said, it would have been like only a 4. I guess I only thought that because at the very end, with the last how many 30 minutes we had a new character show up. Like that would have been like I can see that being the ending of like the episode, and the next episode he comes right back. That's how I pictured it as such, at least.
Yeah. My only real complaints about the movie, and it's not even like a storytelling or anything, I felt like this was an overall satisfying movie. It's just the fact that it is a franchise film. You have to watch. And since this one is very much part of the storyline, you have to watch the show. So it's not super friendly in that regards. I mean, not to say you can't enjoy it, but I will say that's the one hurdle that it's going to have, like, people will have to get over.
Yeah, like on its own merits, like it's not like the story is super confusing. The only thing is,
Mhm.
the only thing is like it benefits you having seen the show for the character drama. And well, as we demonstrated in this podcast, watching the show shouldn't feel like homework because we think the show is genuinely great.
Yeah, no, I this is one of my favorite animated films of the year so far, and I don't say that a lot about franchise films. I maybe say that for like Lupin the Third films, but that's because Lupin the Third does not care about continuity. So, for right now, it's sitting at my number 10 spot because of how good the story was. It's only it's stuck between Zhang Jia and Arlo the Alligator Boy. But that's just for me.
Manning, would you think of overall how this ranks of the films that you've seen this year?
Oh well, it comes to this year. I've been watching a lot of. I haven't seen too many 2021 releases. I was catching up with a lot of 2020 for Oscar purposes. Because I host an Oscar podcast, so it's more related toward Oscar things. But when it comes to movies that I've seen this year, this is like, oh Lord, I've seen so many quality films. I literally just saw Quiet Place Part 2 today. But when it comes to sheer enjoyment, this is by far like the one that I went to a theater by myself to watch it, and I had the best time because it was merely second movie back to the theaters. It was just a beautiful experience to be able to witness this, have my tears, raise my fist into the air at the parts of like, yes, go Tanjiro, go. It is probably going to be one of my favorite experiences in a theater. Even like come December when we're ending this year. So when it comes to that, like this is top tier, like for me personally, just on experience alone.
Nice. Now before we leave, we did promise to give you a few recommendations.
Yes, please.
All right. So do you want to go first, Mike?
Yeah, I've got one that it's another Netflix anime that I've been kind of obsessing over ever since I first saw it. Great Pretender. It feels kind of like a modern take on Lupin the Third, but it's like it's a little more Ocean's 11. It follows like a con man. Well, two con men who kind of meet each other and start working together on like very very specific cons. Like every like 4 or 5 episodes is like a different case. It's two seasons, like I think 20 episodes each.
Oh, very digestible.
Yeah, and there's like four distinct arcs. It's very digestible. All the characters are varying degrees of likable, and the heist is just really fun to like to see unfold.
Well,
Where can I find this again?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix, perfect.
There are 4 main heists, and then there's a quote unquote second part that's one heist. So
okay, perfect.
That helps wrap everything up. No, it was one of my favorite shows from last year. It was really good, and it shows that original films are. I mean, anime can be a great, and y'all should support them.
Well then,
my recommendation is to a fantasy comedy that came out in 2019 and has a second season going on right now. It's called, and I mentioned it before because it's called Welcome to Demon School Aruma-kun, and it's about a 14-year-old boy who cannot say no to anything. He can't say no to anyone, and does whatever that whoever asks him to do something. and he doesn't have the greatest parents because the parents took advantage of his kind nature, and then and then in the very first episode, he finds out that his parents sold him to basically the devil,
Oh Lord, jeez.
and he's just like I can't believe my parents did it. No, 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 they would do this.
Sounds like it.
And but the kicker is the devil is just like, good, now that I have you. And then he turns into a sweet cinnamon roll grandpa where he's like, will you please be my grandson? Like, I don't have anyone, and everybody else is talking about their grandchildren except me.
Well,
And
that took a turn I didn't expect.
yeah, no, it's so clever because it's not the best looking show. It looks fairly cheap. And you can tell it, like, it can look good at points, but it's also like you can tell they didn't have like the most resources to make this. But then it's like he's like, oh joy, I get my own grandson now, and I'm going to enroll you into this prestigious demon school. And when he
no
goes
Slayers
there,
here.
yeah, no Slayers here. And then and then like when he gets there, he finds out that his new grandfather is actually the head of the school. So he's like maybe I could just do this on my own. And then he sees that the headmaster is the demon that adopted him. And he's like, okay, everybody, major announcement. And he pulls up this photo that it's like, this is my new grandson. I love him to death. And I'm so happy he's here. And that's all. And of course, everyone's just like, oh god dang it, nepotism. And but and of course, like nobody knows that the main character is a kid, like a human. So so then it turns into this really sweet like fantasy comedy of like, and I don't want to spoil too much because I want people to go into this blind as a bat. I just wanted to say the main setup, and you can find this on Crunchyroll, and it does. The first season has a dub, and I've gone through like 4 or 5 of the episodes today, and it's such a delight. It's so funny. Now,
I'm so glad I heard about this because now I'm trying to catch up slowly on a lot of older anime in between like my last big phase, which was about 2009 or like 2008 to now, which I kind of jump started back in 2020.
Yeah, no, no, it's a very delightful comedy, and the characters are all great, and all the punchlines hit, and it just keeps getting funnier and funnier as so far as time has gone on. And I will say one of the best jokes is who the hot popular girl is. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's not like, oh, look at this character and such as a joke. It's just like, this is the demon school, and this is what the hottest thing in hell looks like. And it's not played for like punching down or anything. It's more punching up, and it's so great. And like I said, all the characters are likable, and everyone's a touch like manic, but like I said, I highly recommend people check out Welcome to Demon School Aruma-kun.
No, that's definitely putting on my list right now. And do you guys recommend dubs or subs for these, respectively?
I just do dubs because sometimes I can't focus on subtitles just because I have ADHD.
And for Great Pretender, it's actually more effective to watch the dub. It's kind of like Cowboy Bebop in that regard. Once you listen to the dub, like that becomes the definitive voice for these characters.
Yeah, and of course, like now, if you want something more like Demon Slayer related, I'd recommend checking out Jujutsu Kaisen. It's kind of like the new generation Yu Yu Hakusho, and at first it's like, oh no, it's got the same director as the God of High School, but then it's like, oh wait, Jujutsu Kaisen's an actually good manga. So
and Jujutsu Kaijin, you said?
Kaisen, like Kaisen. And it's on Crunchyroll. It's got a dub, and I'm sure they're going to release it on Blu-ray soon since Crunchyroll and Sentai Filmworks have made a deal together. And like I said, those will be my recommendations. So.
Okay. No, perfect. I have all 3 that are currently listed now, and when I get the next chance, those are going to be one of the few that I actually start now, because I respect y'all's opinion, because y'all know more than I do.
All right, Mike, how are we going to end this?
Well, because we didn't get a chance to do the Ghibli review, next week we'll be covering 2 movies. The first one, we're doing Castle in the Sky, and I will spin for a second.
No, I'll do
film.
it. I'll spin.
Okay.
No, I was just wondering, like, yeah, since we haven't done Castle in the Sky yet, do we want to spin? But yeah, sure, I'll do it. So, Wheel of Ghibli, turn. What's the movie you'll give us next? Oh, I love this one. Isao Takahata's Only Yesterday.
Ooh, I like this.
Yeah,
I have
no,
not seen that one.
it's so good. It was one of the few Ghibli films that never got brought over when they were owned by when Disney was distributing them.
Yeah,
it was like
I think the film came out in Japan in the early 90s, but we didn't get it in the States till 2016.
Yeah, and this has an English dub, including Dev Patel and Daisy Ridley as the 2 main adult characters.
Oh, nice.
But I wouldn't say that's like the best part of the film. Like, this is one of my favorite Ghibli films, period. I just love this story. It's one of the most grounded of the bunch. It's about a woman in her 30s going down to the countryside to help out some family with some kind of flower picking thing. And she kind of starts reminiscing about her childhood, like during the 60s and such, and just kind of wondering, like, is she happy here, like where she is now, and like, does she regret anything? And it's such a good movie. I love it. Like, I didn't expect it to love it as much as I did. Granted, I kind of got why Disney didn't bring it over when they could have. I think their reasoning was lazy after seeing the movie.
What was their reason?
There are some talks about like puberty and periods, that kind of stuff. So I think Disney was just kind of like, we don't know how to talk about this, and it's just like, come on.
It's a natural thing. People.
I mean, it's a more adult, not like cursing or anything, but it's like a more adult topic of something. It's not as whimsical as like Ghibli's other films.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the few Ghibli films where like someone in their 30s can actually look older than like a typical anime character, because it's like, you know, those Pro Z videos where it's just like he makes fun of the whole fact,
yes.
of like guessing a character's age, and it's like, here's this really intense complex backstory. How old am I? 28. I'm 14. No, you're not. I'm just a baby.
Love that.
0, 1,000. Nope.
I totally forgot about that. That was a great video.
Yeah. I was going to reference it earlier when we were talking about Zenitsu, where his video where he talked about like trying to convince the other person that this character is going to be great later. It's like, well, yeah, well, right now this character sucks.
I legit was thinking about that today. So that is a perfect example of Zenitsu.
What's that video called?
I think it's called
heavens.
convincing your hold on, I'll pull it up. Oh no, trying to convince your friend a character gets better later.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's included in the show notes. But yeah, that concludes this episode. First of all, Manning, thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. The fact that I was able to get to talk about it is, to me, I could keep talking more about it if necessary, but I know that, again, thank you guys for adjusting your schedule just a little bit, because I know that I need to go to bed to get up for work early in the morning. Hooray for work and jobs.
Yeah.
Now
before we go, where can everyone find you online?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Cine_man. That's CINE_MANN. You also find me on my YouTube channel, Manning Franks, where I'm currently working on a couple of video essays at the moment. I was going to start recording one today. However, time got the best of me because I wanted to see Quiet Place Part 2. So look forward to the next little bit, maybe a Demon Slayer video essay. We don't know because all my perspectives come from basically someone who's a Westerner at heart, doesn't know too much about anime, but I love it nonetheless because it is an art form and I love all types of art. And you can find me, of course, on Take 3 Productions, where I host Gone with the Wind. Currently, we are on hiatus for the summer a little bit until we get more Oscar news. And yeah, you can find me also there just chilling out with some of the rest of the people from Take 3 Productions on YouTube.
Awesome. Cameron?
You can find me on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. I also run my own website called camseyeview.biz, where I review animated films called The Other Side of Animation. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. If you like my work, you can support me in that regards. I am also in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'll post some animation related stuff from there from time to time, maybe teasing and like what we're going to be talking about soon. You have to see. So that's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. Find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also look for us on Podchaser. And you can listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.